Last week, we heard the news that the Mississauga Steelheads will be moving pending league approval to the city of Brampton. And right now, I have special guest Elliott Kerr, the owner of the Mississauga Steelheads. Elliott, thanks for doing this.
My pleasure, Mike. Glad to be here.
And you purchased the team back in 2012. And what really stood out was how much of a passion you have for the city of Mississauga and for junior hockey. So, coming up to this week's decision with the move to Brampton, that must have been pretty tough.
It was really difficult. I love the community. I'm actively involved in many areas in the community, and I even go back to when I purchased the team. Mayor at the time, Hazel McCallion, reached out to me to see if I'd be interested in buying the team because the owner at the time, Eugene Melnick, was looking at moving the team to another community. So I did step in, and for me, it was all about keeping the team in town. So all in all, it's been a difficult process. But at the end of the day, Mike, we just had some challenges from a attendance perspective that we had to look deeply at, and with my partners, Kevin and David, to determine what do we do, what are our options. And so we took a lot of time analyzing our own market as well as others in Ontario and in parts of the U.S. I think it was 8 to 10 different markets we researched, traveled to in some cases, and met with local officials. But the biggest challenges we had in our own rink is not only in our own market, but in our own building, we have a competitor with Raptors 905, and same market, same demographic, same price point, same building. And as I'm sure you can appreciate, the pie is only so big, and so we were splitting it. So that almost became a major challenge that we needed to address right away. So we needed to find a facility that certainly didn't have a competitive situation within its own facility. So that was a mandate, and also our facility, it's not a destination. It's meaning you and I couldn't go for dinner before a game and go watch. You and I couldn't go out for a drink after. We watched the game. And so we wanted something similar to that. I mean, and we're looking down the road at what Brampton's looking at doing in and around the building. But notwithstanding that, they have a 100-seat restaurant located within the CAA Center that I'm sure with us, it'll be jam-packed, pre-game, jam-packed, post-game. And that's another reason for people wanting to attend. It's part of an evening out. And I guess coupled with that, we struggled coming out of COVID. Pre-COVID, we saw our numbers tracking really, really well in a positive direction. And coming out of COVID, it was a bit of a challenge. So you factor all these pieces together, Mike, we knew we had to do something. And what Brandon offered, not only addressing some of those problems I just described, but it also, what we found is that we could make a move here, and with some the relationships we have with season ticket holders, with our fan base, with our media partners, our corporate partners, we're convinced that we can keep them interested and involved, and we can build on it based on being located in Brampton. Because what we're doing, we're talking about a move of only 3 miles north. It's not like we're moving from Mississauga to Cornwall. Our facility now, the Paramount Center, is north Mississauga, and the CA Center is South Brampton. It's really, really close. So we're talking 3 miles or a 5-minute drive. So we're hopeful we keep the branding, we keep the equity we have, and with the move 3 miles north, we can build on it and develop that base. We're convinced we're going to be able to do and make the team viable over the long term.
And I was just going to say, it seems as though this is a kind of a unique situation for the Ontario Hockey League, because usually, like we saw with Hamilton moving to Brantford, that's changing cities. But for you, you're still able to, reach the market in Mississauga, and the junior hockey fans, like you said, it's only a 10 minutes north of the Paramount Fine Food Center. So this is, a win, and you kind of become the team of Peel region being in Brampton.
Yeah, you got it. And I'm still saying to fans, this is still Mississauga's team. It's also Brampton's team. And we would even go as far, Oakville's team, Milton's team, and so far as the GTA as well. So it's a move that doesn't really disrupt. And the move is a building block. And clearly, yes, we're Peel Region's team. And we like to say we're the Greater Toronto team too. And so we're hopeful I hope our logic is sound. And even more important, on top of all that, Mike, we're not going to be disrupting the life of our players and our staff. Educationally, our kids will stay in the same school and continue to. The Bellett families can stay. We'll be adding to it. I'm sure the Brampton market will probably provide other families that like to be involved in that regard. But school gets disrupted, that will not be disrupted. Our Bellett families won't be disrupted. We'll continue on once again in that area. We're going to just build on what we have without disrupting anything, and that's really important to us too.
So when you were doing the negotiations with the city of Mississauga, was that kind of there was a sticking point? Because you mentioned about how there's not really a lot of amenities around the Paramount Fine Food Center. So was that something that you were hoping the city of Mississauga would address in an effort to keep the team playing in the city of Mississauga?
100%. We had many conversations, many meetings about it, and I know the city tried. I know they met with, as did I, some developers to look at whether it was commercial or whether it was retail or office towers, what have you, because the land is there. And unfortunately, nothing came to fruition. But when we talked about it, I would have thought going back over the last 12 years that somehow you and I might be looking at those things that we think are necessary for the team by now, but it just didn't happen. But I don't want to make it sound like we're upset with Mississauga. It's quite the opposite. I can't begin to tell you how much we appreciate what the city's done. I go back to the vision and leadership of Hazel McCallion. The reality is, if it wasn't for her, we wouldn't exist today. And so we're not moving from Mississauga. As I said earlier, we might be changing locations, but we're not leaving Mississauga. And they're always going to be part of who we are, who we are now, and will be in the future too.
And with Brampton, they, of course, the Brampton Battalion were there up until 2013. They ended up relocating to North Bay, and also the Brampton Beast. So with the experience that Brampton has had with hockey, and then your experience coming with the Steelheads, do you find that this fit will be different for Brampton going forward?
For sure it is. And you got to remember, going back to the battalion came into the league at the same time as the Mississauga Ice Dogs. And there you had two franchises competing with each other only 3 miles apart. That was a challenge. And even when the battalion left, there was, the Beast replaced them. So we're looking going forward, one hockey team can service the market, and rather than two, which has clearly not worked over the long term. And I think the city of Brampton is going to be pretty pumped about what's coming. I say get ready, because our team not only is going to be wonderful this year, and no one wants to play us in the playoffs. So you probably saw, gosh, this past Friday night we knocked off the top team in the West, and we're not only going to be great this year, we're going to be great over the next few years. So James Richmond has done an outstanding job of setting us up for the short term and the long term. And going back to your question about Brampton, you got to think about, look what happened last year for the Women's World Hockey Championship. It was sellout after sellout in Brampton. And then there's Mayor Patrick Brown has created a Hockey Day in Brampton concept. It's very highly watched and regarded, and sellouts that happened there before too. So there's a lot going on in this market that'll add to what we already have, and I'm convinced it's going to work over the long term.
And I'm a bit of a jersey nerd myself. So when I see that you're moving to Brampton, is there going to be any changes to the Steelheads uniform with the move going into Brampton, or is that going to be a secret up until next season?
I'm happy to let you know right now, Mike. The jersey will remain the same. It'll still be the Leaf look, which is the rights we secured when I bought the team back 12 years ago. And with our logo, if you're looking at the circular side of the logo, the word Mississauga appears with a maple leaf. Well, so the only change will be that Mississauga will now read Brampton with the maple leaf. So it's going to be very, Visually, it'll look very similar.
Hey,
That's the
nothing
plan
wrong with
right now.
well, nothing wrong with that because it is a sharp look and a classic look. And now focusing a bit on the team this season, you already touched on it, the big win in Sault Ste. Marie. So this team that James Richmond has put together, it's threatening for this season. And as you mentioned, going into the long run with the great goaltending, you also have Agnes McDonnell and Porter Martone. So this is do you feel like this is going to be a great team for the next couple seasons here?
I'm telling you, without hesitation, I say yes. This team that's being assembled or has been assembled uh, is destined for greatness. It's very clear. You're a hockey guy. You see what we have now. We're actually we certainly saw what next year and the year after would look like. This year's almost been a bonus. Well, as you probably know, we're the youngest team in the league, and here we are competing for top spot, and that's a huge compliment to James Richmond and his staff accomplishing what we have. We had an agonizing trade deadline the year before, meaning we were so close, but we felt we just didn't have enough to get over the finish line to win. So in this league, you got to make a decision at some point. Which way do you want to go? So we moved our three top players, but it was gut wrenching for them and their families. But where we sit now, I couldn't be more excited about where we're going.
Well, it's going to be fun to see the Steelheads moving forward, and good luck the rest of the way. And I'm sure we'll touch base again soon.
You got it, Mike. Anytime. Reach out when you want to talk.
So that was Mississauga Steelheads owner Elliott Kerr, and I know the audio wasn't the greatest as it was cutting in and out there, but still great to catch up with the Steelheads owner, talking about the future of this franchise. Obviously, this move coming to a surprise to some, as Brampton was not somewhere people were expecting, but as Elliott said in that interview there, they're not abandoning Mississauga. It's a market that they're still wanting to attract and be a part of, so it's really cool to see what is going to happen going forward with the Steelheads as they prepare to go to Brampton next season. Of course, still pending league approval, but with everything right now, it looks like that transition should be approved, and we'll be talking about the Brampton Steelheads as early as training camp in August. So again, thanks for tuning in. Remember to put your comments down below, your thoughts on the move, maybe what you're looking forward to in regards to this change, if you're a fan of the Steelheads or if you're someone from the city of Brampton. Love to see the comments. I'm also planning to go to the game Friday night. Of course, the Barrie Colts, they will be in Mississauga for their final trip to the Paramount Fine Food Center, unless they meet in the playoffs. Right now, that seems unlikely, but you just never know. We still have a couple months to go in the regular season, so that'll be a good trip to go down, see Mississauga, maybe one last time, the arena, before we see them playing in Brampton. So again, thanks for tuning in. And don't forget to hit like and subscribe for videos like this. And of course, we'll continue to follow the Barrie Colts and do some interviews with players there. And yeah, we'll just continue to have fun with it. So again, thanks for tuning in, and we'll talk to you again soon.